Hey Hoopers, Michelle McCoy here with Autumn Flow, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to open up your new hoops and help them to regain their circular shape once you have received them in the mail. And it's the nature of the tubing of these hoops to sometimes begin to retain the shape of their coiled down form once they've been coiled down in the mail for several days. So if you open up your hoop and it doesn't pop open into a perfect circle, don't freak out. It's very common, and the tubing is also very flexible, so it doesn't take much effort to get it back into a circle using the techniques that I'm going to be showing you. So I'm going to be demonstrating with these new beauties that I just received in the mail from our awesome hoopsmith. These are all polypro and HDPE tubings, and I'm going to show you beginner tubings as well, because the process of opening those is a bit different. This is the Joker hoop, and I've had it forever, so it's really beat up. I promise you, your new beginner hoop will be a lot more pretty. So when you pull it out of the package, it's probably gonna look something like this. It's gonna be coiled down to about 1/4 of its size. So the first thing you wanna do is locate the connection points on it, and there will be 2 of them, and they'll be together. So here they are. So first, go to the opposite end of the connection points, and sometimes one end will be tucked underneath the other. So just untuck it if it's tucked underneath, and then gently begin to pull those ends apart. And throughout this whole process of opening up your hoop, you want to be very gentle with it, because if you try to force the tubing to do something it doesn't want to do, that's how we end up with dead hoops, and we don't want that. So very gentle. So now that you're in this figure 8, you want to grab your connection points in the middle of the figure 8 and gently pull those apart. And this is where the hoop begins to open up and get into this wonky, very not a perfect circle shape. So to form it more, put one connection point on the ground and put your foot over it just to hold it in place. You don't have to put any weight on it. And at the top connection point, grab it with each hand on both sides of the connection and gently twist in opposite directions to begin to straighten it out. You can kind of bounce it up and down as well. That helps to get it moving better. And then do the same on the other side, the other connection, very gently, until it looks pretty straight. You might have to do it a couple more times, but there we go. That's all there is to it. So now you're ready to rock out with your hoop. And to coil it back down for travel purposes, you put one connection back on the ground. At the top connection, you're gonna twist in opposite directions while gently pushing down, very, very slowly. Back into that figure 8. Grab it in the middle of the figure 8 and fold one end down into the other, again very slowly. And then if you let go, it might start to pop open. So just tuck one end underneath the other to lock it into place. And there you go. And definitely do not store any of your hoops, no matter the tubing, in a coiled down form for very long, because it's going to make it harder and harder to get it to regain its circular shape the longer it's coiled down. So now I'm going to show you how to open up polypros and HDPE hoops. And I'm going to start by just removing all of the velcro straps. Your hoops will come with velcro straps holding its coiled down shape. So just remove that and the hoop will pop open a little bit. So I'm going to do that real quickly. So once you take off all of the velcro straps, you can lay your hoops out in a flat area to just kind of open up on their own. That's not necessarily a requirement to open up your hoops. I don't always do it, and I've never had a problem with it. But some people like to just let their hoops lay out in the sunlight and breathe, as you say it in the hooping world, and begin to open up and uncoil a little bit on their own. And taped hoops are always going to take longer to open up than bare hoops because the tape over the tubing adds a lot of resistance for allowing the hoop to regain its shape. So taped hoops might take a little bit more work to get into a perfect circle. So it's nice and hot and humid out here right now because it's summertime in Arkansas. So these guys are all very warmed up. But before you start working with reshaping your hoops, you want to make sure that the tubing is warmed up. So lay them in a spot outside in the sunlight for a little while, or if it's winter time, I like to put mine near my fireplace, not too close, but near it or near a space heater. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my 3/4 HD PE LED hoop. And again, this has that crisscross gaffer's tape design on it. And it's pretty coiled up, as you can see. So the first thing you want to do is just kind of like open it up a little bit. You're not going to break this tubing. As long as it's warmed up, it's very flexible. And then just step down on the middle of the hoop. Again, not putting a lot of weight on it, just holding it in place. And take one end at a time and just kind of begin straightening it out. And especially at the connection points, you tend to get flat areas on the connection points. So make sure to stretch out those as well, all the way from the bottom to the top. And HDPE tubing is just naturally a bit more flexible than polypro tubing when it's warmed up. So they will definitely not take as much work to reshape. This one's already opening up pretty good. So once you do that for a couple minutes, I'm going to do this side a little bit more. You can connect it. And if you still get a flat spot on the connection of your LEDs, which can be fairly common, just connect it into the second hole, which is in on position. This one's not turning on because I don't have a battery in it. And then you just kind of bounce it out a little bit at the connection. Or another thing you can do with a flat spot on your hoop is to hang it in a room with a space heater, or hang it on the wall for a little while and put a weight on the bottom of it. Just hang it wherever its flat spot is and just give it a little bit of time to get a little bit more circular. So this one looks pretty good so far. That one didn't take a lot of effort. So now I'm going to move on to our polypro LED, and this one's also 3/4 tubing. So you can see with the polypro tubing, it's just taking a little bit more time to stretch it out, and that's normal. And there are other techniques to stretch it out as well. You could walk along the tubing while holding the ends, just taking small steps. And then connect it into the second hole so it's closed all the way. Again, this one doesn't have a battery in it. And that one's not looking too bad. It has a little bit of a flat spot at the connector, so we can bounce that a little bit. And then another thing that is so good for your hoops to help regain their circular shape is to just use them. And their natural flow and movement, rotating around your body with on-body hooping, can be so helpful with helping your hoop regain its shape. So I already opened up one of the reflective double hoops just so that this video doesn't get too long. And the other one is already starting to uncoil a little bit on its own, probably because it's so freaking hot out here. So I'm just gonna quickly help it to regain a little bit more of its shape using the methods that we went through. And another thing you can do for your hoop, if it's warped in the way that it's not laying flat, so if you put it on the ground and there's part of the hoop that is coming up off the ground. A couple techniques you can do to fix that. You can lay it flat on the ground and then place a bunch of heavy books around the hoop and just let it sit like that for a while. Or you could put it under your mattress even. So those techniques help pretty well. Looks pretty good. And now I can finally begin to play with these guys. And that is it for today, hoopers. I hope that you really enjoy your new Autumn Flow hoops. If you have any additional questions, always feel free to shoot me a message, and I truly appreciate your business. I hope that you have a beautiful day and happy hooping.